increases the risk of several types of cancer, including breast, colon, and throat cancer. Drinking less can lower your risk. You deserve to know the truth about alcohol and cancer. Get the facts. Visit nyc.gov/alcohol.
Good morning, everyone. Happy to have you with us. It's Wednesday, July 8th, 2026. I am J.R. Giddings. Welcome to the Reset Talk Show. This show changes the conversation. This platform will help to reset and reshape the nation and the world. Here's a preview of the top stories we are following. A photo of a Black woman surrounded by white nationalists heading to DC for the 4th of July March went viral. Our panel of experts will give their reactions to the unsafe look on the young lady's face. Then we will talk about the tragic news of 18-year-old Nolan Xavier Wells. Nolan Wells went missing after a 4th of July boat trip to Horn Island in Mississippi with friends. 43 hours later, he was found dead. This is every parent's worst nightmare. This is very sad. And rightfully so, the kind of attention that this event, this story is getting is well worth it. Then, of course, we have Democratic Congresswoman Yvette Clarke that will join the show to give us all the latest briefings and updates. All of this and more coming up. You're listening to and watching the Reset Talk Show. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Whatever your audiology needs are, we are here to help. Our full-time staff includes doctors of audiology, graduate student clinicians. We screen for, diagnose, and treat hearing loss in a diverse population of all ages. We work closely with primary care physicians, otolaryngologists, and other healthcare providers to ensure that we are treating the whole person, not just their hearing.
When it was time for my baby's vaccinations, I wasn't sure what to do. There was so much conflicting information, I didn't know what was real. But then I found out that since the 90s, childhood vaccines have saved over 1 million lives and prevented more than 500 million illnesses in children.
And like me, many parents worry. We all want to do what's best for our babies. So I went to my baby's doctor and I asked a lot of questions.
And got the answers I needed. I choose to vaccinate. Ask questions, get answers. Vaccinate.
Drinking alcohol increases the risk of several types of cancer, including breast, colon, and throat cancer. Drinking less can lower your risk. You deserve to know the truth about alcohol and cancer. Get the facts. Visit nyc.gov/alcohol.
Hi, I'm Rabbi Eli Cohen, and I'm excited to introduce you to the new location of the Crown Heights Jewish Community Council Social Service Center. This is where you can continue to get help for seniors with Medicare, Social Security, any problems with SCREE applications and renewals. We have our health navigator who can provide you with health insurance for your family. We have Medicaid and SNAP applications, of course, and our well-known free business counseling for small businesses. So we're looking forward to greeting you at our new location. We're at the corner of Kingston Avenue and Lefferts Avenue in Brooklyn. Call me, Rabbi Eli Cohen, 718-771-9000, and we're here to serve you.
Welcome back. This is the Reset Talk Show. We have a great show for you this week. Let's begin with the story that went viral of a black woman among white nationalists on a train to DC. The look on her face described a frightening experience. Let's bring in our panel of experts. We have Pastor Straker, Democratic strategist Deidre Rashid, and Rabbi Cohen. Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Donatello, of course, from My Hungry World. Let's start with you, Dr. Giddings. How are you this morning?
Good morning, J.R. Donatello, listeners. I'm doing well.
So, Dr. Giddings, this picture that went viral of this black woman among white nationalists. When you look at that picture, what do you see and what do you feel?
It was very chilling. It's a really sad picture. I mean, very disturbing. Okay, that we are here, 2026, celebrating the 250th birthday of this country, and this is what we're experiencing. You know, it begs the question: who is this country for? Who are we? I mean, and you know, they're just blatantly just in broad daylight walking down the street, marching, chanting things like "Reclaim America." And I don't know if you all remember this group, Unite the Right group. Now they're calling themselves Patriot Front right now, but they used to be the Unite the Right group. But this is the one that happened in the rally that occurred in 2017, where Heather Heyer was fatally killed when this young man, James Fields Jr., ran his car into a crowd of protesters. So this is that same group. They're walking around masked, and you know, they're all about this remigration right now. And remigration is basically roots in neo-Nazi rhetoric. Okay, basically, they would like to force the expulsion of all non-white immigrants from this country. So this is what we're experiencing today during the celebration of the 200th anniversary. And this group, they have a history of violence. They're walking with Confederate flags. There's another picture of a young black men surrounded with them, with the Confederate flags around them. So it was just very, very unnerving, very, very chilling. And we really have to do something about it. And if you remember that Unite the Right rally that happened in 2017, where that young lady, Heather, as I mentioned, was killed, when the president came out, he said, he was saying that they're fine people on both sides. So those were his comments. So, you know, generally, this is our history. This is experience, the African American experience in America. And we really have to do something about this. But those are some of my thoughts about it. Very chilling, very chilling.
Thank you, Dr. Giddings. Audience, if you're just joining us, we're having a conversation about the picture that went viral of a black woman among white nationalists. These nationalists were heading to DC for a 4th of July march. Welcome in, Donatello. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to see the rabbi has joined us since the show began. You know, I think that question is almost rhetorical to this point. How am I, given the topics that we have on today's show, and especially as a woman of color looking at the image that we're speaking about now? I'm not sure how I am. I think I'm almost numb, because every day that we endure, there's another trending topic of people within our nation being disadvantaged, being taken for granted, especially with this being the 4th of July celebration, which there again is another argument whether I, as a woman of color, can even celebrate the 4th of July if I think about the Star Spangled Banner and the third verse. But looking at this young lady, I immediately, when I first saw it, thought it was AI, right? It's 2026. And this young, beautiful girl, I think, empowers our culture, especially given, I was looking at her beautiful locks, her natural hair, right? Um, there's no expression really on her face. I can't tell if it's fear, if it's shock, if she even knows what's going on. But given this many non-black and brown people with masks, I wonder if she might have thought they might have even been ICE at first. So it's very upsetting. It's very troubling. And I would really, I searched the internet to try to find some sort of interview where someone spoke to her to make sure she made it safely to wherever she was going. At this point, I agree with Dr. Giddings that we need a little bit more action to protect ourselves. But I find myself, yes, we live in a land where we're supposed to have freedom of speech, right? Where people can exercise what they're saying. And from looking at this picture, it doesn't seem like anyone is engaging her, right? So maybe they did not harass her on this right. But where do we draw the line between freedom of speech and intimidation, manipulation, and invoking fear, right? Because these masks are just the equivalent of the Ku Klux Klan's hoods to me, but that's my perception.
Donatella, it's interesting that you would note the flag on the cap because in a lot of cases, people are more or less associating that flag with white supremacy. I would like to welcome in Rabbi Cohen. Good morning, Rabbi Cohen, and how are you?
Thank God I'm well and enjoying the conversation. Appreciate the feelings.
Rabbi Cohen, this picture has gone viral for a lot of reasons. But when you stop and you think about what do you see on this young lady's face, Rabbi Cohen, as we talk about the white nationalists surrounding her?
Well, I don't know. I mean, she doesn't look intimidated. It's hard to see. It's a very small version of it. I'm looking at the expression. She seems to be a little nervous, maybe a little not sure. I know I've been in similar situations. I know people who have. White nationalists, particularly Patriot Front, is a very anti-Semitic group also, and it does remind us that Jews and blacks are really together in this, in a way of being a focal point of some of the most extreme fascist groups in this country. And it's interesting that Donatella mentioned freedom of speech, because actually this has been an issue right now in the New York City Council, where the city council was pushing legislation to protect people going into houses of worship and people going into schools from being intimidated by nationalist or extreme violent harassment at the entrance to their schools. And actually there was a lot of pushback from the DSA wing of the Democratic Party. They didn't want to have those protections. So in the end it passed, but only in a slightly watered down version of the one about schools. And of course, this is something that the Jewish students and Jewish people have endured a lot recently since October 7, with pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas demonstrators on trains, on streets, outside schools, at Columbia University, not just being there and looking intimidating, but actually threatening, harassing, and in some cases even hitting people just because they were Jewish or they were assumed to be supporters of Israel. So we've lived through this. We know what it is. I feel for this young lady, and I certainly agree that it's this fine line between, giving people the right to express themselves in the way that they want to, but at the same time protecting people who might be the object, individuals or groups that might be the object of their hate.
Rabbi, give me your thought process on seeing all of these white nationalists masked on this train. Could you speak to that? Could you speak to what you are seeing?
Well, again, this is a situation I've been in, with a train full of hostile people and feeling like, being the object of their. In this case, it's not apparent from the picture, but in cases that I've seen and been involved in, where literally the young minority person has been the object of scorn and derision on the part of the protesters. It's not a comfortable situation to be in at all. But in this case, it doesn't look like that. It just looks like everybody's traveling, and I don't think there doesn't seem to be any kind of intent to either intimidate her or do anything overt to her. And they obviously are a very racist and anti-Semitic group, Patriot Front, and we can go back to the 30s in Nazi Germany, where Jews and blacks were also singled out by the German nationalists. So this is definitely an outcrop of that. That's the way I see it. I don't see, it could it have been? I don't know. It's very hard to know from the picture if they actually said anything or did anything or glared at her or anything like that. But it seems like everybody's minding their own business in this picture, at least.
Okay, Rabbi Cohen, I see you drew parallels to the Jewish community. I understand where you're going with that. But let me bring back in the ladies for a minute. Because when you mentioned the word intimidation, this picture depicts intimidation. Would you agree with me, Dr. Giddings, Donatella, if you're on the train and you see all of these men, and we're talking about men in masks and standing all around you, is that intimidating?
It definitely is intimidating. We've experienced this all. Okay. It's very intimidating. And these are the people, the ones who are wearing masks. These are the same people who didn't want to wear masks during COVID, by the way. And when you as Donatella mentioned about the KKK, a lot of these people behind their masks could be your neighbors, your co-workers, different professionals, etc. They just don't want to be, identified. Okay, so they're cowards. Number two. So this is very chilling, as I said before. Marching in broad daylight, chanting "Reclaim America," and that whole remigration topic they're bringing up. I mean, it's based in the roots of neo-Nazi rhetoric, as I said before. They want to expulse, force people out of immigrants out of this country. Non-white immigrants, by the way, not the ones from South Africa. So this is what's going on. It's very scary. We've all been in such environments before, whether they have masks on or not. But mask adds another level to it.
Donatella, do you have a lived experience of intimidation, whereas all of these men are around you, and it doesn't take much for you to more or less be concerned? Am I correct? I'm just asking the question.
Well, to answer your immediate question, yes. So a lot of people aren't aware that I was born in Birmingham, Alabama, right? And fortunate that I grew up in a single parent home since the age of 8. And my mother, I have memories that my mother moved to a part of Birmingham. It's called Hoover. It is the suburbs. And we were, which I didn't know then, but we were the first Black family to live within this gated community. My mother, my brother, and myself. And one day I was riding on the bus, and I'll never forget, I was in the 6th grade, and a bunch of white boys. I was like one of 3 black females in the 6th grade. And one of these white boys asked me, he said, "Hey, how come black people always do this? They do the soul fist." And, I'm in the 6th grade, and I'll never forget being like, "I don't know. Why do we do it? It's soul, right?" And he said, "Oh, no, you all learn how to do that from riding on the back of garbage trucks." Right? And so for me, I remember I remember just wanting to pummel his face, but I'm a little girl, and this was an older kid. And I remember crying on the bus. And later on, the teacher talked to my mom about it. But as I grew up and working in tech, I've always been in rooms predominantly with white men. And to something that the rabbi said, lots of times you don't have to say a word for people to understand your body language and your intentions and your thoughts, right? So I believe the young lady, if you look in her face, the fact that her face is without any joy, that is noticeably present, without anyone around her. I can say almost 100% that she was uncomfortable, probably thought she was at risk. And I'm also curious, the way the picture is projected, I believe she saw the person taking a picture of her. She's looking directly into the camera. That is yet another stage of intimidation. And why, I'm curious, did she make it where she needed to go that day?
Donatella, thanks to that, there's so many women and so many people, but we're talking about women here because for a young lady to sit down on the train among all of these white nationalists, it has to be frightening. So this is an important conversation about your lived experience. But right now, let's bring.
Before you go to Deirdre, I just want to add something to what Donatella said, which I think is very important. 2 things. First of all, the masking. So there was actually a big push recently to pass a bill in New York State, which was passed. And there were, again, the extreme left of the Liberal Party was against it, but it was passed in spite of that. And it was you were not allowed to wear a mask if you're in a rally. So if you're protesting, you have to mask free. And that was, again, the extreme left was against it, but the mainstream and to the right was pro that prohibition on wearing masks during rallies. So I agree with that. I think it's the masking is very intimidating, and we did have a health scare, but we should not use that as an excuse to hide our identity when we're doing things that we shouldn't be doing. If you're proud of what you're doing and you get your free speech, at least show people your face so we know who you are. So I would agree with that. The other thing, wait, Deirdre, one more thing. I just wanted to share that, I had an experience similar to Donatella's. Many years ago, I was riding on the subway about 11 o'clock at night on the A train going through Canal Street. And a man who was standing on the other side of the car suddenly started staring at me and muttering at me, and "You killed our Lord," and he said all kinds of things, and he had a big stick in his hand, and then he came over and started swinging the stick at me pretty hard, and he hit the post of the subway car, that goes from the ceiling to the chair, like inches away from my face several times. And I was fortunate when we got to the next stop, but Canal Street, the police were on the platform and they came and arrested him, and I actually testified against him at trial, and he was convicted of harassment, but not of they wanted aggravated harassment for the racial or religious slur, but they didn't give that. But the jury found him guilty of harassment. So I've been in that kind of situation. I know what it is, and it really is. It's a very, very uncomfortable situation, and especially you have a car full of people and nobody speaks up. It's very, very, very scary.
Thank you, Rabbi. We'd like to welcome in Democratic strategist Deidre Rashid. Good morning, Deidre. Welcome back to the Reset Talk Show.
Good morning. Good morning, JR.
Deidre, uh, this is very compelling. Okay, this story, okay, that occurred on the 250th anniversary of this country. It it says something. It tells us where we are. Um, when you saw the picture of this young woman among these white nationalists, um, what were your thoughts and what were your feelings?
I thought it was indicative of where this nation is now. People like Rabbi Cohen who conflate this type of hate with some type of political amorous. I mean, it's beyond that, right? We assign it to a politics, but it really goes to the character and integrity of the individual. And hate has no color, has no party. Hate is hate. Now, hate has gravitated towards Republicans. I always say that all Republicans aren't racist, but all racists seem to lean Republican, right? It's a comfortable place to be.
Except for
And
Mr. Plattner, right?
don't interrupt me because I didn't get to interrupt you. You stopped me before I said a word. So you go ahead and hit that mute button and get comfortable. Because you spoke and I'm gonna speak. See, what I will say to you is one of the things that Rabbi brought up was the mask, and he conflated the COVID mask requirement with this whole thing about KKK. There is no conflation there. Okay, yes, in New York they were very strict about keeping masks on your face during COVID and making sure that you were healthy in order to stop the dying of individuals. That is a different topic. So the left wing and that putting in that type of political and this type of hateful thing, there's no place for it. The black woman is the most disrespected individual in the world. It is what it is. And for that young woman to sit amongst hate of any color. And the reality is that in these last, how long has Trump been president? 2 years, and even prior. It has unleashed hate in a level that we have seen unparalleled. And true men of God can tell that. They can express and understand when the pandorum of hate begins and when it compels into an area. What I want to ask you is when you see that young lady and she's surrounded by all of these individuals, do we understand, especially as African Americans, that this is saying to us, this is the world we are leaving for our children. And we must begin to fight to make sure that little girls like her, that is not going to be common norm for our children. We have to push back on this hate. We have to push back on the language of hate. We have to push back on the demonization of immigrants. I think that it's really funny. Most of the ones that are fighting immigrants are immigrants themselves. This is not your native land. Like, the whole mantra that they say, go back to your native land. Well, let's ditto, because this ain't it for you. Unless you are Native American, this was not your land. So I feel when I look at that picture, it is a mantra, a call for us as African Americans to remember that we can no longer ride on the shoulders of our forefathers who fought to get here, to get the freedoms that we now enjoy. We are now in our own civil rights movements. We now have to devise our own plans, and it is not Martin's land and it is not Malcolm's land. And the allies that we have are not always true allies, right? Right, Rabbi? They're not always true allies. They identify with us when the hate comes to their door, but do nothing about making sure the environment that we are in maintains something without hate. They don't fight with us for the civil rights to be protected. They don't fight with us for the civil liberties to be affected. It came a time where the reason the NAACP was where it was because Jews stood with African Americans to ensure that that department was created. Now you see Jews stand by on the sidelines and watch us get beat down. I want them to understand that we are one. The Jewish nation is together with us, the Black nation, the Hispanic nation, the cultures. We're made up of many different cultures. And to allow ourselves to be ripped apart under the guise of political divides
There's no, I can disagree with you politically and still understand morally right and wrong. And there's, it doesn't take anything from me to tell you that Clinton was wrong in this area or that Obama was wrong in this area. It makes me a better strategist to be able to hold not just others accountable, but my own accountable, right? And that's what I will say to you in this era, in this moment. I hope that we all paused on this day and said, I have to fight that my daughter doesn't have to go through that. I have to fight that that's not my granddaughter tomorrow. I got to fight that that's not my niece the other day. I have to fight. And so we should be even more committed to making sure that we get this president out of office, that we take the Republicans out of positions of power, because truly, they've shown us that the ability to stand for integrity and character is not theirs, right? The amount of pedophilia and extramarital affairs and felonies that they've now tolerated in the party of the right and the religious, right? It has brought us in what we have never seen, criminals into our bowels like we have never seen. Used to be a time you would be ashamed to be accused by a woman. Now, if you're on the Republican Party, you're not like Platter in Georgia, right? Like that's not taking you out in the Republican Party. They're building you a suite, and they're sitting you down, and they're saying, "Come on in and have a good time." So I'm hoping that what we're seeing today is that we can't follow the Bible of those that use it conveniently only when it's convenient. We have to follow that which is right and wrong, and hate is wrong. Hate is wrong. We have to fight for Rabbi not to be beat up in the subway the same way we fight for the African American woman not to feel that way in a subway, the same way we fight for Hispanics not to feel that way. But we must fight, even for those of us who have forgotten that it was together as minorities. Together we got here. Together, Jewish, Black, arm in arm, white, Hispanic. Together we got to this civil rights thing. And for those that forgot, guess what? That Black woman is a reminder that for all that you back, that is the hate you have unleashed. It is consequences of the hate you unleash. You can't sit here and co-sign everything Donald Trump has done: separation of mothers, shooting down of individuals in the streets of Americans, separating children and putting them and doing concentration camps in locality of cities. You cannot okay that and then tell us you were touched by the photo. How? Why? Because it was in your face. It happens every day. It was in your face. The other stuff is not in your face, is convenient, and you conveniently don't feel bad about that.
Deidre, there's Dr. Giddings. I know you want to say something. I just want to mention the trauma that comes with what that young lady experienced. That trauma is going to travel with her. It has an impact, and that's why we're having this conversation. Dr. Giddings, go ahead.
No, I agreed with everything that Deidre had to say. She covered a lot of my points, so that's it. But yeah, I mean, as we celebrate our 250th birthday, we have mass white nationalists or supremacists walking the streets, and our lived experience, as I said. We experience this all the time. We're in rooms. Sometimes we're the only Black woman in rooms. And as Deidre said, we're the most hate, gender, and, color in the room. So we definitely have to fight back. We have to push back. We have to, vote and get the right people in office. Okay, because the people that are in power right now are creating this, and it all stinks from the head down. Okay, he's created a lot of this hate that's going on right now in our country, and we have to, and right now he's trying to push the SAVE Act. Of course, there's no votes in the Senate for that, but he's going to try other things to rig the election. So. We have to really get involved and see what's going on and make sure we're not intimidated from going out there and fighting for our civil rights and just basic human rights. So we have to get in line. We have to get together, get our family members, friends, and everyone to fight to put the right people in power to help us through these types of scenarios that are happening every day in our lives. And this is one picture that depicts it, but it's something that happens day in and day out in our lives. So we have to fight back, push back, and get some action in Congress right now to change a lot of what's going on here today.
Thank you, Dr. Giddings. We're going to go to a commercial break shortly, but before we go to the commercial break, okay, I want to, by the way, Rabbi, do you have anything to say before I have Deidre anchor this segment?
Yeah. So I listened carefully to what Deidre said, and I think that the truth is, over time, blacks and Jews have been allies in the fight for civil liberty and that continues till today. The ADL, which is a Jewish group, has been very, very strong in calling out racial bigotry and anti-Semitism at the same time. So I think that that is very important. I think we've all been there. You missed earlier in the segment, we were talking about how we've seen, in the aftermath of October 7th, we saw a lot of young Jewish people going through similar things where they had a car full of people in keffiyehs coming from a rally, and also masked. And that was my point about masks, is that when the extreme left was doing it, there wasn't anything wrong with that. But when it was the pro-Hamas people, so I think we have to just be consistent. I think we have to stand up for our values. And one more thing: there's a very great man called Natan Sharansky who was persecuted by the communists in Russia for many, many years because of his beliefs and his faith. And finally, after years and years of being imprisoned and persecuted in terrible ways, Sharansky was set free, and he was able to lead a second life as an Israeli politician. And he said something very important. He said, "It's very easy to call out evil on the other side of the table. A real strong person calls out the evil within their own side of the table." So I agree with that when I see things that are, like if Patriot is right wing, I'm against it. I don't know they are. I think they're just evil fascists, but I think we do need to call it out. And it's the same thing when we see, if we're on the left, we need to call out the extreme of the left, which is just as violent and just as bad as the extreme on the right.
Thank you, Rabbi. So 2 minutes, Deidre. I just want to anchor with this. When you see these white nationalists with the mask and the hat with the flag on it, okay, do you equate it to white supremacy?
Yes. This is, and let me say this to you: this administration has sought to take away the dollar bill, the dollar bill that was coming out with Harriet Tubman on it, has sought to take away the African American Museum, has sought to declassify white nationalists as a hate group. This administration has sought to normalize this behavior. And so I think that this is just a boldness, and because they have been emboldened, right? Many of them were involved in the January 6th hearing. He has fought to give them pardons. Then when they were saying, which is why I don't understand why Rabbi is riding so hard for him, but when the last time when he was in office and white nationalists were screaming, "Jews will not replace us," and they were walking with pitchforks through a major city after a mass shooting in a black church, I thought that it is rich for us to say that this is not as bad on the left as it is on the right. Now, the Rabbi is correct. There's those on the left that I think are extreme, and we deal with that as the Big Tent party. However, to say that equated is the same, I don't know that it's the same, because I can tell you I feel differently from 4 years ago to today. I can tell you I feel differently when Obama was in office. I don't think that there was I think that the level of hate was the hate that there was a black man in office, but I don't think that it generated from the head. It was not legitimized from the presidency. It was not embraced by an entire political party. I think that just everything from the Heritage Foundation down has pushed forward this thought process of white supremacy. And so I do feel that at that point, when we look at that picture and we see that young lady, that this country bears the responsibility of ripping back civil rights, whether it was the taking down of the Civil Rights Act, whether it was Clarence Thomas voting for crosses to be legally burned on lawns. He's talking about masks. Hell, we had a case on hoods, and Republicans stood strong for the hoods to stay on. So at the time that we're talking about, I think that we need to be real with ourselves. I say it jokingly that the right is neither religious nor right, but that's correct, because whatever Christ and whatever God they serve, as a minority, you look at them and say, I don't want it. I don't want your God, because your God allows you to receive this hate with open arms. And this type of hate has to be rejected religiously, spiritually, physically, mentally. We have to reject it. So, JR, thank you for bringing light to it, because I think that this story has to be had. And as a Black woman, Rabbi, we're terrified. See, you can go in and change your outfit and then they'll not know you're a rabbi, but we can't change our skin and them not know we're Black. And so I say that the same thing with my LGBTQ brothers and this and that. I love you. I think that you also are in the civil rights struggle. It is different for Black people. We wake up in the morning Black. It is who we are. We don't change it, can't change it. You can't even dye it down. I can't shave my beard, change my hat, walk out in there and be treated normal. At no point. I am a Black woman when I get up in the morning, and I will be a Black woman when I go to bed at night. And if I changed my appearance, I would still be a Black woman. There's certain things I could never change. And so the discrimination we feel, Rabbi, just to educate you as an ally, the discrimination we feel is not one that goes away based on anything, because we're born with it. It is our skin, it is our DNA, it is our melanin. And it is our power to say to you that we are discriminated every day. And we feel that young lady as our daughter. We feel her as our niece, because we know a hate that you don't know, just as you know a hate that we do not. Hate is hate, but we all feel.
No, I hear that, and I definitely empathize with that, and I understand it. But I will tell you this: I will never, ever, ever take off my beard and my suit. I went into Ramallah, into the Palestinian Authority, in a bus, wearing this hat and jacket, and they wouldn't let me into. They wouldn't let me in.
That's not the point. I think the point is more that.
No, I get your point. I get your point. It's fine.
Right. But you know what I'm saying? You won't do it. But I'm saying to you, you could, and we can't do it. We can't. You understand? We are physically impossible for us to wake up in the morning and say, today I'm going to be white, and they're not going to know my struggle.
Well said. Well said, DJ. Yeah. And this is why we had to have this segment once again. Okay, simply because we have some powerful women on this platform, and I'm sure all of them have a lived experience, and this is why they're able to speak to this topic so well. And of course, Rabbi Cohen, from where you sit, you might see it a little bit different, but you did concur on quite a few points. So we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we're talking about the tragic news of Nolan Xavier Wells in Mississippi. What a sad story. Again, on the weekend of July 4th, our 250th anniversary. We will take a commercial break, and we will be right back.
At Roger Victor Archibald Civil Rights and Personal Injury Attorneys, we are family.
No matter what the case is, we go fight it. If you're looking for justice, you will get it. Roger will treat you like you is VIP. Come join you with the team, cause in this love for we treat you like family. We've been millions for clients since 1991. Family. At 718-237-1111 or visit our website at Live.com. From the shores of the Caribbean to the United States courthouse, where clients are treated like people and not simply cases. Call us if you have a case involving police brutality, medical malpractice, construction accidents, automobile accidents, and all other personal injuries.
This is attorney Roger Archibald. Call me today at 718-237-1111. We are family.
Whatever your audiology needs are, we are here to help. Our full-time staff includes doctors of audiology, graduate student clinicians. We screen for, diagnose, and treat hearing loss in a diverse population of all ages. We work closely with primary care physicians, otolaryngologists, and other healthcare providers to ensure that we are treating the whole person, not just their hearing.
Drinking alcohol increases the risk of several types of cancer, including breast, colon, and throat cancer. Drinking less can lower your risk. You deserve to know the truth about alcohol and cancer. Get the facts. Visit nyc.gov/alcohol.
When it was time for my baby's vaccinations, I wasn't sure what to do. There was so much conflicting information. I didn't know what was real. But then I found out that since the 90s, childhood vaccines have saved over 1 million lives and prevented more than 500 million illnesses in children.
And like me, many parents worry. We all want to do what's best for our babies. So I went to my baby's doctor and I asked a lot of questions.
And got the answers I needed. I choose to vaccinate. Ask questions, get answers. Vaccinate.
Welcome back. Welcome back. This is the Reset Talk Show. Tell a friend to jump on right now. What we're doing, we're talking about so many major issues as we celebrate 250 years in this nation. Some disturbing things happened over the July 4th weekend, and we are breaking it down this morning. We're talking you through it. Now we're going to talk about the tragic incident in Mississippi. We're talking about 18-year-old Nolan Xavier Wells. He went missing after a 4th of July boat trip to Horn Island in Mississippi with friends. 43 hours later, he was found dead. You know, this is the most horrifying experience for any parent in this country. This is our worst nightmare. And to see it happen, we have to address it. It demands justice. We demand justice. And our panel of experts, we have 3 powerful women here today. And, you know, they're all mothers in some way. And it's so important for us to address Nolan Wells. Welcome in, panel. So I want to start with you, Donatello. This story has been trending across social media, and it's well deserved. So we're talking about Nolan Wells, who was found deceased after celebrating July 4th with 3 friends. What can you tell us?
Well, you know, there are some weeks we have topics on here and we smile a lot and we laugh, and this week is filled with very heavy subject matter. First of all, such a handsome young man And my understanding from reading many articles and looking at things that his parents wrote, he also was a great scholar, football player. And, it's first of all, you want to send out your condolences to his family, to his friends, um, not necessarily the friends who may have been traveling with him during this trip, but you know, I am so exhausted from seeing these stories that are trending later, and I realize that perhaps these type of incidents were happening before, but social media allows you instant gratification to share whatever your heart is carrying. And in this instance, listening to the sounds of his parents who are upset from those friends, A, leaving him, um, allegedly well on an island and returning without him, that's just something that people do not do at a teenage age, right? When there's no, mischief afoot. My understanding is that the teens, not only did they leave him, but they took his cell phone as well, right? And so in listening to his parents speak and the mother was sharing frustration that those teens not only left him but immediately shared images of him online saying, see you soon, brother. um, we'll be looking forward to the next time, or something to that extent. It's heartbreaking, and especially the comments that carry the statement, which unfortunately is trending as well, that it is unsafe for our black and brown men or black and brown females to travel in all white situations. And having grown up in the suburbs and had that experience a lot, and have younger cousins who have that experience now, it's really scary and disheartening that in certain parts of the world we have to say that this is Mississippi. Um, and then it breaks my heart that there is, talk about um, sacrifices. And even this image that you're showing now, one of the trending topics is people pointing out the color of the beads that they're all wearing, and that the brother is only wearing he's wearing red beads. And you have dialogue that signifies perhaps some type of sacrifice. And I think all of these what if scenarios is not good for the grieving family, right? And so I'm going to ask people to be conscious of what you're writing underneath these images of this beloved son, right? Because ultimately his family is going to read it. This morning I woke up and I was dumbfounded that someone I'm actually friends with on Facebook is actually his cousin, and they shared some images of him today. So yeah, I'm heartbroken. I don't know how we protect our young people from being invincible and being innocent and being charming and finding themselves in these dangerous situations. I just hope that we're able to get his family justice, and I'm excited to hear that Ben Crump has been retained to represent the family. And if there's any truth out there to a wrongdoing, I'm certain we're going to find it now.
Thank you, Donatella. Welcome in, Dr. Giddings. Audience, if you're just joining us, we're talking about the tragic news coming out of Mississippi about Nolan Wells. He was found dead after celebrating the 4th of July with 3 friends. Dr. Giddings, your perspective as a mother, one, and as a Black woman, you know, you live out in Texas, Deidre lives out in Texas, and you guys know about this firsthand, about prejudices. You move to a better environment, and does it work in your favor? Your thoughts?
Yes, this was definitely heart-wrenching. Condolences to the family members. Very, very sad. I was, anyway, he was such a great student, and not only a great student, but a great football player. And he recently signed to a football team going away to college. I mean, he was just about to start his young adult life. This is so, so very sad. You go out on a boat with friends, and they come back not knowing anything, remembering anything, not having any idea what happened, is strange enough as it is, okay? And had this situation been reversed, right? Three black teams, one white team, there would have been upheaval. So it's really sad. Just a couple of statistics: about 40% of missing persons in the US are black, and we're only made up 13% of the population. And recently, multiple black teens have been found dead from unclear circumstances across the South in recent months. So this is what's going on, in the black communities. And a lot of times no one hears about the missing. I'm so glad that this one was brought to our attention. And it's just really, 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 really sad. I'm happy that Ben Crump has been hired. He is, a very famous civil rights attorney, and I'm sure he can get to the bottom of what's going on. But really, we have to really be careful with who we hang out with, who we go places with, etc. And then, as Deidre mentioned, his phone was returned. By whom, no one really knows. There are a lot of speculation about alcoholic beverages, etc. We've talked so many times on this show about drowning, about wearing life jackets, about avoiding alcohol in these situations. And from one of the pictures shown, that was one striking note to me, on a boat in the middle of natural waters, and no one had on life jackets. But that's just another note in terms of safety. But I really can't wait to hear what the investigation turns up with this young man. But very, very sad, very sad. The beginning of his life, and just gone too soon.
Thank you, Dr. Giddings. We're definitely going to have, as this case progresses, we're going to have Roger Archibald, the civil rights attorney, come on with whatever facts come to light. And of course, we have an attorney in Deidre as well. So Deidre, coming over to you. There's so many angles here. All right, but before we go further, could you lead us in a moment of silence for this young man?
Yeah. I mean, as a mother of a black man, this is devastating. So let's start our moment of silence. Okay. I just want to say, having done our moment of silence for this family, that Dr. Giddings and I are in the beast of the belly, the belly of the beast. I told you all last time that we were jealous of New Yorkers, just your freedoms that you have way more than we do, right? The South is rising, and we have to rein it back in. The South is rising. Mississippi, Alabama, Texas, Louisiana. We are seeing an increase in hate crimes. We are seeing our children go missing. We are seeing our daughters go missing. We are seeing our sons not come home. And so I think that for Black mothers, it is, I had to look away during the Carmelo trial. It's even if they try to defend themselves, it's the eviscerating of a black man in front of us. Just to see that young man's hair be shaven, and his appearance changed when he went into prison, and just to see the breakdown, and to know that he was responding to an attack, and because he defended himself too well, this is where we are today. I will say this to you. I am angry as a Black woman. I am angry because I have had a friend who raised her children not to see color. The unfortunateness of that was she ended up with a murdered child, right? Because he did not have on him that point of her where he understood the harm. He understood the fear of it. He understood what could be. And I think in a situation like that, these young men were never his friends. They were never his friends. There is no way that you're going to say that your friends left you on an island and took your phone and no way to contact you and then said they remembered nothing. And because they should be in jail. They all should be in jail right now. They all should be in jail. And they all should be under surveillance right now. But again, there is a white nationalist movement that is rising and being legitimized, and we are seeing all of this fallout. I hope that we have cheerier topics today because it's been depressing. Like, I have been sad because all of this hate against our community is overwhelming. It is overwhelming, especially as a Black woman. We cradle our communities. We take care of our Black men, and we do so with pride. We raise our daughters to believe that they can do anything in this world. And it is honestly disappointing to see the downfall of America. And I will say that, and I will say it flat-footed. When you take all of this and you try to create subclasses of people and you rape, you murder, you pillage, you hurt, you can't think you are the supreme race. You can't. A supreme race doesn't have to take from every race to exist. A supreme race would just be supreme, right? There is no supreme race because the reality is I'm not just Black. I'm West Indian. I have Bayesian roots. You can't just minimize my existence to a color and then relegate me to the treatment of ridiculousness, which is what I think they are doing. Well, if you're Black, then you're everything that is wrong in my life. I can point to an immigrant, and they see that when they turn on the TV, they see it on the news, they see it in every area of their society. So if I would say anything to Black women, educate your children. Educate your children, have the difficult discussion, let them know that if they are in an all white environment, it should be safe. We would hope it would be safe, but that's not our reality. Our reality is that they have to be careful. Even in all Black environments, let's be real. Like, there was a case where there was some Black females that went over to Mexico, and that woman never came home, and they set her up, beat her down, left her body, and walked away. So in any environment, we have to teach our children to be careful. We have to teach our children what the definition of true friendship is. And we have to let them know that even in situations where they're your friends, you cannot just not have, you put yourself in a situation where he went out on a boat with these individuals and they took his phone. Like, they plotted and planned this. There's no way that this just happened in his hands. I'm going to say allegedly, just to cover us, but I'm going to say allegedly. They took him out there, and allegedly they didn't come back, and allegedly they said he wanted to stay there. And I think that to me, that all they were doing was a racial thing on the 4th of July that they probably plotted and planned for a long time. This young man was good in academics, he was good in sports, he was handsome, and it seems like some of them that are not nice people in the white nationalist movement believe that if they see a Black person doing well, that somehow taking that person's life, hurting them in some way, is going to make them better. It's like you're taking jobs. Maybe you got a high school diploma and that immigrant has a PhD. He ain't taking your job. Even if he quit his job, you couldn't get it. So I think that's what it is just them always feeling like, they have to rob, rape, and pillage to be something. They have to reduce people and other people down in order to exist. And that type of existence will never breed happiness. You'll be like Donald Trump, right? Richer, $2 billion richer, but you still can't walk up a flight of stairs. $2 billion richer, but you're miserable and you can't go to sleep at night, and you're up twittering and and your wife doesn't want to be in the room with you, and people hate you, and you get booed off of moral stages, and you have everything in the world. You're taking from everyone. You're making people miserable. You're pushing down other other demographics, and you're still not happy. You're not going to be happy, because true happiness is not found when you take it from someone else. It's found when you're with your ability to create it in your own hemisphere. So in this environment, I'm just going to say to us, educate our children, educate them, make sure they're safe, make sure they have a safety plan for if they're with their friends, how they're going to get home. Make sure that you tell them what our parents told us. Make sure you have $20 in your pocket. Make sure you have the money to get home. Don't be in an environment where you depend on other people. You're not going out on a ship, a sail, a sea with somebody who's not family. Even family, you got to look at just depending on where you are with them. So just be careful. Know your surroundings. If you see it, report it, and don't always assume the best in people. We would like to, but I'm gonna tell you the old attorney adage: assume the worst. Assume the worst. Be surprised by the best.
Thank you, Deidre. Thank you for all that information. What a morning. What a morning so far. But just to have the different perspectives definitely has made a difference. Tell a friend, everyone. We have Congresswoman Yvette Clarke joining us this morning. And she's going to give us all the latest briefings and updates that's going on in the country. Welcome in, Congresswoman. Good morning. How are you? Okay, if the Congresswoman is not backstage yet, could we bring in Dr. Wiegand? Good morning, Dr. Wiegand.
Back again. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me. Great to see everyone.
Absolutely. Audience, of course, by now you see all of the ads on the show about audiology, about hearing. Dr. Wiegand, as we begin this summer, could you give our audience some helpful tips for audiology?
Sure.
The things they need to know as we get into the summer for your children, for your parents, for the elderly. What are some tips that you could give us?
Anyone that brings their ears with them, right? So I was very pleased to see I'm signed up for these NYC Notify alerts. So of course, 10 times a day, you're being alerted to stuff, weather, all of that. But I even made a note. I'm going to discuss it in my staff meeting coming up. The city sent out several notices about hearing protection in a fireworks environment, which I was very pleased. And I have not seen this so widely broadcast really ever. So, just like the summer is hot, hearing is hot too. And hearing is what keeps us connected. But I'm glad to see that the city is making the effort and at least the effort in marketing, the investment in marketing to promote better hearing. We can't always control the noise level around us, but we can control what we do about it. And even using some earplugs, like even the disposable ones that are very affordable in the pharmacy, as long as they're put in well, they can really help your hearing to be protected, even in very noisy environments. Of course, it's best not to play around with fireworks and be in the proximity, but if that stuff is around you, for sure, you want to protect your hearing.
Quickly, Dr. Giddings. Dr. Wiegand is here. It's the summertime. Kids are out of school. Families are going on vacation. We never talk about hearing. We never talk about audiology. What would you like to ask Dr. Wiegand this morning?
Well, good to see you, Dr. Wiegand. Glad to have you back on the show. But you're always great with all your advice. But my one thing is that it's really important for the pre-K or the kids about to go into kindergarten to have their hearing checked, because this is just the prime time for them to start kindergarten and be able to listen, learn in class, etc. So the recommendation is, I'm sure you recommend to everyone to have their hearing checked before school, especially during the summertime. So Can you talk
Absolutely, yes,
about
of
hearing
course,
in the pre?
of course. I mean,
KJ?
hearing well at any age is vital, but especially in the younger years, right? I mean, the way that we learn to read primarily is by sounding out words. Okay, and there's a lot of incidental learning that takes place through hearing, right? So kids, they hear their families talking in the other room. They may not be participating in the conversation at a very young age. They're not even understanding what most of it's about, but there's a lot of just passive learning that happens. And if the sense of hearing is even diminished in a very slight way, it has educational impacts, social impacts, negatively impacts cognitive development and maturity. We all know who Helen Keller was, I think, right? She was deaf, blind, had multiple disabilities, but went on to accomplish many things. So I often quote her when she says that blindness disconnects us from objects, but hearing disconnects us from people.
Mm,
I mean, we could do this podcast if we couldn't see each other
right.
because we can hear. But if the opposite was true, it would be much harder. And hearing,
And also, it can be as simple as just earwax buildup. So that's important. Some parents are afraid to bring them in, but sometimes it's a very simple solution.
yeah, my practice, we actually just got a vendor number with the Department of Education because we were approached at a presentation that I gave by one of their coordinators that was kind of high up on the food chain, and we hope to have like a new line of entry into the schools because a lot of schools stop doing screenings or they don't really have it organized. So they're even reaching out now to practices in the area. We cover 5 zip codes in Brooklyn. So we have a very good reach. And then we also have the depth of staff. We could probably get involved with the schools at least a couple days a month. And then it becomes the families of those kids and the staff, and it just keeps going. Tell a friend to tell a friend, right, Giddings?
Absolutely. We have 2 more minutes before we go to a commercial break. So 1 minute to you, Donatella, 1 minute to you, Deidre, to pose a question to our audiologist, Dr. Wigan.
Well, Dr. Wagon, I have a 2-part thing that I'll put in 1 minute. I am still overdue for my visit, so I'm going to do that before the summer's over. And I think it's wonderful that you mentioned getting a vendor license to work with the DOE. I think it would be great to see you also work with the senior facilities in Brooklyn and the 5 boroughs as well. My only question again, can you just tell people how they can make an appointment with you? Because I need to be reminded so I can do the same thing.
Sure. So my outside practice separate from the hospital is Liberty Hearing Centers, 718-833-5867. And then if they want to see us in the hospital, 718-270-7207. I can put the numbers in the chat, but thanks for asking. But I mean, if you type my name in, we're pretty easy to find.
That's pretty good. Dr. Wagon said, just Google me.
Not to mention the ads are playing on the platform. So when you see it come up, you get all the information. Deidre, your question for our audiologist, Dr. Wigan.
I have no question. This is terrible.
Okay, we covered it all.
Because Doctor, I was so deep. It's JR's fault. It was so deep into the political thing that my mind is blown right now. The only thing I'm going to ask you is, could you do a hearing test on our president? But no, just joking. just kidding. Just a little joke there. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for everything.
Thank you. Great to be
here. That was a hell of a comeback there, Deidre. You didn't have a question, but you're questioning the hearing of our president. Dr. Wigan, as always, it's a pleasure having you.
Great to be here.
The information that you bring is vital simply because we don't address hearing. And people must understand the importance, the connection of hearing to health. So what would we do without you this morning? Thank you.
Thanks again for the opportunity. Take care, everyone.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
We're going to take a commercial break, and then we're coming back with the Congresswoman, and we'll be talking about all the the briefings. There's a lot going on. It looks like the U.S. is back at war with Iran based on the information we have coming from Donald Trump overnight. Let's take a commercial break, and when we come back with Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, Democratic Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, let me correct myself. And we also have a Democratic strategist in Deidre Rashid, Dr. Giddings, and Donatella from My Hungry World. We'll take a commercial break, and we will be right back.
Whatever your audiology needs are, we are here to help. Our full-time staff includes doctors of audiology, graduate student clinicians. We screen for, diagnose, and treat hearing loss in a diverse population of all ages. We work closely with primary care physicians, otolaryngologists, and other healthcare providers to ensure that we are treating the whole person, not just their hearing.
When it was time for my baby's vaccinations, I wasn't sure what to do. There was so much conflicting information, I didn't know what was real. But then I found out that since the 90s, childhood vaccines have saved over 1 million lives and prevented more than 500 million illnesses in children.
And like me, many parents worry. We all want to do what's best for our babies. So I went to my baby's doctor and I asked a lot of questions.
And got the answers I needed. I choose to vaccinate. Ask questions, get answers, vaccinate.
Drinking alcohol increases the risk of several types of cancer, including breast, colon, and throat cancer. Drinking less can lower your risk. You deserve to know the truth about alcohol and cancer. Get the facts. Visit nyc.gov/alcohol.
Hi, I'm Rabbi Eli Cohen, and I'm excited to introduce you to the new location of the Crown Heights Jewish Community Council Social Service Center. This is where you can continue to get help for seniors with Medicare, Social Security, any problems with SCREE applications and renewals. We have our health navigator who can provide you with health insurance for your family. We have Medicaid and SNAP applications, of course, and our well-known free business counseling for small businesses. So we're looking forward to greeting you at our new location. We're at the corner of Kingston Avenue and Lefferts Avenue in Brooklyn. Call me, Rabbi Eli Cohen, 718-771-9000, and we're here to serve you.
Welcome back. This is the Reset Talk Show. I'm still smiling from Deidre's dig at our president. But, you know, the Reset Talk Show, we have you covered from every angle, you know, and our health segment today was about audiology, which is your hearing, which is so important. And Dr. Wigan is definitely one of the best. Welcome in panel, welcome in Deidre. We're going to lead with you until the Congresswoman joins us. Deidre, Donatella, Dr. Giddings. Deidre, that wasn't nice. That was not.
You know, I'm just saying to you, like he said, oh, they're going to invite in inspectors. Iran was like, psych, that's not what we said. You know, he said there's a peace agreement. Then, you know, he gets his little stocks up and then he comes back and says there's no peace agreement. And then when he wants the stocks to go back up and he wants market manipulation, he said, oh, there's a peace agreement. Then he drops $80. I was like, something's got to be wrong with this hearing. You know, maybe we should cry out for help. Like, he doesn't hear things clearly. Just gonna give him a buyout.
So, Deidre, let's lead with you right now. Overnight, Donald Trump announced that the ceasefire agreement with Iran is over. Is this another threat? You know, does the war continues? Where are Syrians?
Yeah, yeah. You know, this is just another day with the on the Donald Trump roller coaster, right? He likes to keep us on this roller coaster with him, this chaos filled type of thing. So where he pushes one thing out and hides the bottom line. I'm going to tell you two things are going to mine in my mind. In my mind, as a strategist, the first thing that's working is he knew that he can only do consistent strikes after a certain time period without coming back before Congress for a war powers thing. And so he's been doing this kind of pause, re-hit them out, do it for a certain amount of days, pause and re-hit them. I think to kind of obfuscate his responsibility to come back to Congress for anything that has to do with a declaration of war. And so I do think that is one point of it. I said, I think the other point of this is also the fact that I don't know if any of us heard the big admission. I think it went under the radar. But let me bring the admission out on the Reset Show. Breaking news. Trump admitted that he was stealing oil from Iran, that he was stealing millions of oil from Iran. He said it out of his own mouth. Nobody manipulated it. It wasn't AI. He came out and said he was robbing the Iranians. And so I think that what we're seeing here is a president who is out of control. He is the most, this is the most corrupt administration that we have seen in United States history. He makes Nixon look like a primary kindergarten teacher in school that got caught with glue. That is just like he makes impeachment of Clinton like we take 3 and 4 Monica Lewinsky's at this point. It's just not the level of corruption of Donald Trump is the fact that he now wants to even go to Turkey. He was in Turkey this morning, right? Meeting with the Turkey people. He's all these places, and we're finding out that he's negotiating not American business, but his personal business. He's talking to Turkey and Qatar about another plane. He wants another plane because he wants one plane in his residential thing. So now he's doing this war thing, but is it really for the benefit of the United States? Everything we hear associated with this war is him picking back up his assets and Jared Kushner's assets and his children's assets and making himself enriched. His family's made $2 billion since he's been in office, and he wants us to give him kudos for giving back a $400,000 salary. So, I will say to you this, the war is back on. I am inclined to believe the war was never off. I am inclined to believe that this is the pattern of a person who is trying to obfuscate the rules of the presidency for the Congress to have a check on his presidency. The last War Powers Act was going to be passed to stop him to rein back in his power. And he took Bill Cassidy and another Republican in a room and berated them until those votes changed, right? Until he got back the power for this war. If you notice and you pay attention closely, if you're a person who is watching the Donald Trumpism, you'll see that what he does is he pushes the oil and gas companies. He met with the oil and gas companies over there in the Middle East. He didn't take dignitaries and people that would be in the best interest of the United States. He took oil and gas companies. Well, then when he took the oil and gas companies over there and he brought them back, and we saw him say, we might be close to a resolution of war. He did so because he was looking at the stock market. When the stock market peaked and it hit again, then Donald Trump came back and said, oh, well, we're still pending war, this and that. But when he wants the stock market to go, when he wants to be a manipulator of the market, then he goes back and he says, oh, there's a peace. We're at peace now. It is a manipulation like I've never seen before of a sitting president. And it is the very basis and foundation of why Congress needs to pass the act that reins in their ability to gain any assets. And I honestly believe that some of the things that this Congress, should it turn to a Democratic Congress, has to keep in mind is that they are going to have to bring back the money of the American people that has been captured by the Trump family. We are going to have that funding back. We are going to have to bottom out and bankrupt out their companies, their organizations, in order to make sure that the taxpayers get the money back that is being robbed from them through his presidency. because at the end of the day, whether it's IRS tax dollars, whether it's his plane that he wants us to pay for, a brand new plane going into his personal library, when most Air Force One planes are in status for years and years and years, or going to these Middle Eastern countries and trying to extract favors out of them, there's no way that we can believe that this president is not compromised. There's no way we can believe the way this. And now he's traveling. Are we seeing where he's traveling? He's traveling to countries where they can give him something. Now he's trying to meet with NATO leaders to extrapolate more funds out of it in the midst of saying that the war is back on. I think he's using the war also as a bargaining chip in the foreign affairs with these Middle Eastern countries. And so I'm just going to say this to you right now. It is crazy. But we are seeing a man that is willing to bargain our sons and daughters for his own financial and fiscal gain.
Thank you, Deidre. The one thing you could count on is every morning when you wake up, you will hear something that will either take you to the left or to the right when it comes to Donald Trump. So now we are hearing that the ceasefire deal with Iran is off, and the U.S. plan to hit Iran even harder tonight. Dr. Giddings, when you hear all this rhetoric, when you hear the back and forth with this war, what jumps out at you? What are your thoughts?
Well, it's very similar to what Deidre said. You know, it's all about the back and forth with the stock market. That's like his basic thing. Looking at the stock market, if it's up, you know, then he can do something. If it's down, then he has to say, "Oh, the war is off," so that the stock market could go up. Apparently, since since they struck, the stock market, went down. So we have to look for manipulation, right, coming from him. I mean, he's bored with the war, but he's in a pickle because the midterms are coming, right? So what is he going to do? He doesn't want to be at war and have the gas prices still be up, etc. But now, so it's just a back and forth, an up and down. And, he's just going to find ways also to rig the elections right now. He has his acting DNI in there, Bill Pulte. He's going to try to access voter rolls from states. I think he's got some, they're in court to try to prevent him from getting others. He wants to dispatch ICE to the polls. He wants to do whatever he can. And then he also likes to change the topic. He had changed the topic from the war. Now he's in with the NATO countries, by the way, insulting them again and just having insults towards Spain and Italy and all this other stuff. I mean, he is just he's a mess, literally a mess. There's nothing else you can say about that. But
and Dr. Giddings, don't forget the red card scandal. Don't forget.
Oh my God!
We're about to talk about that shortly as we wait for the Congresswoman because we'll talk with her. Go ahead, Dr. Giddings. Go ahead.
And then now he's also talking about the JCPOA. Right. Obama lives rent free in his head, of course. He's trying to say he has a better thing, that Obama paid all this money, but they're willing to pay $300 billion. Obama paid like $1.5 billion, and now they're ready to do that. The Strait of Hormuz, by the way, is still closed. It's not open. And that's what's, driving up the gas prices. So this MOU was very tenuous. It's on again, off again. Who knows what's going on with that? But whatever he's interested in, his vanity projects, the ballroom, the East Wing, it was demolished. Now he's talking about the columns, by the way. Now he wants to change the iconic columns in front of the White House. The arch, his name had to come off of the Kennedy Center, everything. The green reflecting pool, all this stuff is going. There's so much stuff to talk about him that, there's no end. There's no end in sight. So we
don't forget the helicopter pad. Okay, don't
Like I
forget the
said,
helicopter
there's so
pad. That's going to be
there's so many
landing.
things going on.
And it's all gonna go down, and it's all coming back. And he's doing this, wasting taxpayer dollar, because when he leaves office, he'll be lucky if he can sell Trump toilet paper. It is just gonna be that. And I'm just gonna tell you, a matter of fact, I think that is the only place that he's significantly qualified to be. I'm just
Oh no, on the toilet paper.
Right, yes, right now. I'm just going to say to you this, Dr. Giddings, you know I'm a fan. And so Dr. Giddings brought it home. Because let me say this to you, JR. At the end of the day, this gentleman, I want to say it because I want to say something encouraging today. I want us to be on fire today. So let me say this to you right now. Everything he's doing will not prevail. And what is crazy about it is you do the reflecting pool and then you doctor a picture next to Obama's reflecting pool and you say you're so much better. And then a few days later, the thing is green. Then you demolish the East Wing and you say you're bringing so much better with this great wall and da da da. And weeks later, there's still a great big hole in the White House. And then you say that you're doing up the Rose Garden and you're doing this cement and they're doing it and you've done it and it looks awful. And here's my thing: his failed attempt at being a president. He's going back to what he thinks he's good at, a developer and property and all of this. But he wasn't good then. He's gaudy, Liberace likes, and nobody wants that. And we're not that way as a nation. And so here's the thing. He's owned by Russia, allegedly, because you're owned by Israel, allegedly. You're owned in the Middle East, allegedly. This is the first time we've had a United States president who has so many masters to bow to. So many masters that can light up his whole world. And so I will say one thing for him. I haven't heard as much about Epstein, but let me say this, JR, I don't think we brought up the fact that Iran said in response, because Iran's not a punk nation. Iran said they'll be hitting US bases. So somebody's going to be burying their children so he can get a stock market increase. Okay. This is the reality of a Trump White House. This is the reality. There is literally videos of military people crying and saying, "Don't forget me." This is the reality. While this man is trying to attack veterans care, this is the reality. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to tell you my one thing I can say is that the evil will not prosper. And that is why even in all these things that he's robbing, raping, and pillaging, his people, his family, his name is still dog doo-doo in most places of the world. And that's why Ivanka and Jared can't even buy a small island without there being protests and the nation saying, bring that back. We don't want them people in our country. So I will say this to you, for those of you who are looking at it and saying, God, it seems like the evil people are prospering. They're not. They're not. They're just the loudest, and they get and their life gets to play out in front of us. And so we feel like all this richness is getting them. But what? What are you getting? What are you getting when your name is nothing? What are you getting when people hate you? What are you getting when you are demonized and called the most corrupt president in the world? So be encouraged. We got to fight through. And Democrats, please stop fighting yourselves. Grow to heck up. Okay? There are people in our party on the left, just like there are people in their party on the right. They're over there trying to get to make Mitch McConnell vote while he on life support and brain dead. Okay? For the SAVE Act. And we're sitting here whining and complaining about Grant Plather, who we know is probably going to be replaced in Maine because we don't roll the same way Republicans will. Okay, we fall in love, they fall in line.
Thank you, Deidre. Donatella, let's talk about Donald Trump interjecting with the World Cup. As you know, he was able, to call FIFA's president, to get the striker to play in the game against Belgium. But here's the thing, Donatella and Deidre. He wanted the striker, I forgot his name, it's Balogun.
Balogun.
Yeah, Balogun. They wanted the striker in the game simply because they were looking at winning and advancing. Now, this is the same guy that rejected birthright citizenship, but Balogun, okay, is of African descent. Okay, but it's okay for you to sign off on him playing in the World Cup simply because you want the United States to advance. Your thoughts on the red card, being
So before you say anything, just one thing, John. So before you say anything, I have to say this. JR, we're fine as long as we're used as entertainment, like back in the day. As long as we're entertaining to them. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, Deidre, because the first thing that I was going to comment is that it reminds me of the people who don't like Black, brown immigrants, but always try to say, but the NBA doesn't count, or the NFL, those players don't count. Those are people we like. And it feeds into your comment about entertainment. But the first thing that came to my mind as I wept and cried over each goal that was made during that game, I was reminded when Trump intervened in the Knicks playoffs, and his intervention caused us to lose. And the minute he disappeared, we came through and we won. And, I was sitting in a restaurant, Golden Blue Bar restaurant, and the amount of people who were screaming at the TV, and everybody was talking about how Trump's intervention hexed the USA soccer team. And then I want to also just be clear. One of the things that FIFA came out, the powers that be, that said, hey, yeah, the president called us, but it had nothing to do with our decision. There was a case precedent with, I think it's Cristiano Ronaldo, where he had received a red card in a game and was told to sit out. But after review, they did the same thing. I think in this instance, he was allowed to play this game, talking about Balogun, right? He was allowed to play this game, and then he'll be on probation for a year, right? So, FIFA's trying to hold their head up and say, oh, the president didn't have anything to do with it. And of course, the president is helping because he likes the sound of his voice, as we all know, and saying that he definitely had something to do with that.
They gave him a peace prize. They gave him a peace prize. They gave him, when he wanted the Nobel Peace Prize, they gave a president who started wars, taking over countries, the peace prize. So
yeah. But I think now there is this huge weight on our beloved player who came back into the game, and they weren't unsuccessful. They weren't able to win. And I'm just wondering how he must feel at this moment, because you have one side of FIFA upset that he was even allowed back in the game, right? After being suspended from playing because of the red card. And now for them not to win and not to move forward. But I think it speaks really loudly for someone who doesn't appreciate immigrants and his need to be relevant and be in everything. And I see that we finally have our Congresswoman backstage. So I'm going to end my conversation because I'm excited to hear from her, JR.
Sure thing, sure thing. Welcome in, Congresswoman Clark. Audience, tell a friend to tell a friend. We have Congresswoman Yvette Clark here, the U.S. representative of the 9th Congressional District, also chair of the Black Caucus.
We just got another update. I think she's not backstage. I think she might have the old link to the other platform.
No, I sent her. I just updated Jessica with the new link. So Jessica, see if you could get that link onto her. I'm sure you're listening. Dr. Giddings, you wanted to say something about the red card being redacted by FIFA.
Yes. Just to clarify or to give some information, the head of FIFA, the one who gave him the Peace Prize, Infantino, they are as thick as thieves. They've been knowing each other for the last decade or so. He's at the White House all the time, so like there's no honor among thieves. So this wasn't an independent decision, as he's coming out and saying. It's that one hand wash hand make hand come clean, as we say in Guyana. But the corruption leads back to 2015 when our government indicted, FIFA for like officials were charged with racketeering and fraud and money laundering, and they had bribes going on. And even the president at that time came out and said that what the current president Infantino is doing is incorrect. Can you believe that? The one who was indicted for racketeering, etc. So all that's going on here is that he's putting his thumb on the scale. And what happened in the game is these young Americans came out and they were put on this world stage because of him. The anti-Midas touch, by the way. He just, everything he touches, it's the Trump curse. They're calling it the Trump curse right now. And when the Belgians won, they were doing the Trump dance. Okay. So look, this is corruption all the way. And basically, Infantino is really aware of what Trump did. His administration, the DOJ, went easy on those corruption charges that happened in 2015. So it's like, you do me a favor, I do you a favor. And now they have a FIFA's headquarters in the Trump Towers right now. And now they introduced this, FIFA president introduced dynamic pricing, which means tickets are thousands and thousands of dollars right now. So the game is now for the wealthy, the well-connected. And when the soccer game was usually just for the working class people, they can't even go in. In fact, the environment is so different where the working class people were cheering, etc. They have to come out and encourage the current people and the fans that are in the stands to cheer. So everything got all messed up. Again, he is a mess. He just came in and changed everything, just like he changed everything for the Knicks. He did it for all other sports teams going on. And by the way, the World Cup is coming to New Jersey, and he's talking about going there as well. It's a good thing the USA team isn't in it. I'm not sure what's going to happen at that point, but that's what's going on. We're calling him the Trump curse right now. So basically, you want to keep him out of sports. I'm not sure. He's like the only president that's been so involved in all these sports activities. Like, why? You've got so much going on in the world. The war. Why don't you just stay in the White House and do your job?
Thank you, Dr. Giddings. Coming back over to you for a quick minute again, Deidre. We know that the justices rejected Trump's effort for birthright citizenship. How profound a win was that for the people?
It was first thing, it was a profound win for him. Okay, you guys, let's talk about the Trump passport, which is a part of his trajectory body that he has utilized to procreate and make children. All of his wives were immigrants. Okay. So, and all of his wives had children that were born here. So if he takes that away, all of his children should be deported back to all the Russian and nations and all the adequacies that they came from. They should definitely be deported back. They should be the first ones deported. So he should be cheering the Supreme Court because everybody can't afford the Trump passport. Okay. Everybody can't afford it. And so I will say to you, it was profound, but it was something that I guess they had shame for because Clarence Thomas came out and dissented. Oh, really, Clarence? I mean, you just get whiter by the day. I'm just saying to you, somebody did a number on Clarence. I mean, if you want to see a picture portrait of a man who hates Black people that's darker than Clarence, I mean, just, like, I don't even get it. Clarence is such an insult to the Thurgood Marshall legacy. Such an insult. But I will say to you, it was huge. It was huge. What would this nation do without birthright? Like every other nation has birthright. Like, why would we take away birthright? And this is all because he's afraid of going to jail. He's not in love with the presidency, in love with making money as the presidency, but he's not in love with it like that. He just is afraid of picking up the soap. And at the end of the day, the reality is that this man should be in prison. He knows that if he once he stops doing the presidency, that he knows that there are certain things that he has done as president that will avail him to the criminal justice system. And so what he's trying to do is prolong his thing by taking away immigrants, by stripping. He feels like if he can push enough immigrants out, him and Stephen Miller, that white people will automatically vote for him. The joke is on him because they're not voting for him like that. Okay, his approval rating is in the 30s. Then he's doing the redistricting, trying to push Republicans into these districts. The joke again is on him because there's Republicans who just want him out. They just want him gone, and it doesn't matter where their heir is. So I would say to you, it was a huge accomplishment for us being able to protect the Constitution, a document he's used as toilet paper in every aspect of the word. It was a victory for us being able to protect our elections, because that was another attack on elections and trying to get people to vote. And he thinks the wider his electorate, the higher probability of his election. And I mean, because like this is a man who still believes that Black families are hiding from bullets. I don't know. And he knows how it feels to be Black because he's a felon. Well, I'm Black and I'm not. So I don't quite understand what it is that this man believes. But at the end of the day, it was a huge victory. I'm very glad for the justices who were able to come out of their normal racial activism, because I know Amy Coney Barrett, I have said to myself that her Black daughters must look at her as such a betrayal if they get to know who they are. Because there's so many of their rights that she has voted to strip from them. She has voted to have her Black daughters treated substandard to other women. And she is one of them that holds that in her hand and will hold that in her future. And may God judge her better than she has judged others.
Deidre, what do you think of it? It was a very slim decision, 5-4. What do you think going forward? Should we have like reform of the Supreme Court, etc.? I mean, it should have been a 9-0 vote.
Let me tell you something. I want you to know that I was so mad at, what is that man's name? Joe Manchin and Christian Sinema. Because when we had the opportunity to expand the Supreme Court, they stood in our way. The Supreme Court needs to be expanded. They need to add equal number of justices on the left that is on the right. There needs to be a mandatory Democrat seat and a mandatory Republican seat. And it needs to be even. And it needs to be that they have to negotiate with others in order to pass anything. Because if we want to get back to what is right in this nation, we're going to have to listen to both sides. So I'm not one of those who believes that we have to put more liberal than conservative. I am one of those that believes that in order to make this court fair, that we are going to have to expand the court. We're going to have to put equal number Democrats, equal number Republicans, and we're going to have to say that when they die, they are to be replaced with that of their same party, regardless of what president is in office. If that president is in office, they can do a moderate Republican. If it's a Democrat in office, if it's a Democrat, they can do a moderate Democrat. Republican, they can do a moderate Democrat. But they have to keep the partisan there so that we will never see this again. This level of imbalance and this level of saying that Supreme Court is not a partisan institution has been blown up. So we now have to deal with our new reality. And if we are going to look at the Supreme Court as a partisan institution, like how Clarence Thomas was able to take all these multitude of gifts, he was able to take all of these things for his son's trips that they paid for him, and then be the Supreme Court justice that had not been able to be held accountable because there was no ethics standards for him. Nothing. We are going to have to fix the court. The court is a problem. You can't have a court that's supposed to be the guarder of the Constitution that is a partisan court and it not be equal and reflective of this nation. And it does not reflect this nation. They are the minority. They have done things that are not in line with what we would call this nation's best interest. And they violated the promises that were supposed to be with them. I'm sorry about that in the background, you see, but they violated that. They violated that, and we cannot continue on to act like the Supreme Court can't be changed. It has to be changed. That's not a question. It doesn't matter who's the president next. The Supreme Court has to be changed. It has to be expanded, or we leave it the way it is and we impeach some of these justices.
Thank you, Deidre. Thank you, Deidre. The Congresswoman definitely had some technical issues today. We have to try to get her on next week. So we apologize. We know that a lot of viewers wanted to hear from our Congresswoman. So we're going to rebook her for next week. So let's end on a high note, Deidre, Donatella, and Dr. Giddings. The biggest watch party is coming to the Meadowlands, and we're talking about the championship for the 2026 Soccer World Cup. Now, 50,000 fans will be able to enjoy this amazing game. The number one sport in the world is soccer, and that's why you see it's trending the way it's trending. So 50,000 fans will get a chance to gather on the iconic Central Park lawns. Donatella.
Yes.
Give us your thoughts on the biggest watch party for the world's biggest match.
Well, first thing I want to know is, has anybody received the link yet for those free tickets? Because they're gonna go fast. I just barely made it to the fireworks celebration, so that would be my first comment. Let's find out how to get those tickets. I think that's going to be phenomenal. Because just doing the watch parties in the small venues, restaurants and bars and schools and outside on the sidewalk was amazing. So 50,000 of immigrants, because that's who's mostly at these soccer games when I'm there, I think would be great. It's unfortunate that the USA will not be competing, but I think being from one of the most diverse boroughs in New York City, I don't mind traveling into Manhattan, sitting on Central Park lawn to join in what will have to be, I think, one of the events for the year. So I'm excited. I think the Reset Talk Show needs to be there in full force.
I hear you.
I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous right now, Dr. Giddings. We gotta get there.
Deidre, it's 2 weeks away.
Yes, but I'm still jealous.
And you have enough contacts, okay, to get you.
I do.
You have contacts, so make it a
day. If you could have got Congresswoman Clark on here, I could have got one more contact. What's happening? Is a congressman on? Wait, I'm gonna just tell you. Listen,
just need the camera.
I think New York is the very best. Oh, I can hear the Congresswoman. I think New York is
we could hear her and not see her. We're fine with that. Congresswoman Clark, listen, it's always a pleasure to have you. Did we lose her again? No, she's there. Can we hear her? Oh, we gotta love our Congresswoman. She's doing everything possible to be on.
She's fighting a good fight. Yes, she's fighting a good fight. She is. We feel the love, Congresswoman. We feel the love. We know you're trying. We feel it.
So yes, Deidre, Central Park is definitely iconic venue, and
everything is happening in New York. You know, here in Texas, we were thinking that we were something because we saw the FIFA.
Come up to New York. Come up to New York. Come up to New York.
Listen, New York is my happy place. New York is my happy place.
Let's try to make that happen. So yes, there will be a link soon enough for folks to jump on and try to get tickets to be in what we call the melting pot. The melting pot in New York City. It will be a melting pot on Saturday, July 19th. It's not a Saturday, not sure, but I know it's July 19th. And
it's Sunday. It's Sunday, July 19th. And Sunday. The tickets are distributed by Global Citizen through a lottery, and registration opens on June 11th at 10 a.m. So
June 11th?
Yes, at 10 a.m. on June 11th. So,
July 11th.
What?
July 11th.
July 11th. Sorry, July 11th. Sorry. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So July 11th registration opens, so everyone can jump on at that time at 10 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I mean the biggest watch party in the world. You know, literally. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna watch it on TV, of course. I will be in New York, but not for the soccer match. I'm coming for the U.S. Open.
Oh. Okay. So we have a minute for everyone with closings. Lead Donatella, your closing remarks. We have 1 minute each for us to get to the 12 o'clock hour.
Well, you know, this year, or this week, I should say, as today's conversation, we're reminded about the importance of safety. I want to once again send my heartfelt condolences to the family and friends of the young man, Mr. Wells, who lost his life on vacation. Looking forward to seeing Ben Crump support that family. Also want to remind New Yorkers to reach out to Dr. Wagan to get your ears checked, which I'll do as well. Stand in line for July 11th. I'm going to get my AI agents together to see if I can't help myself to get a free seat in Central Park. And just stay in touch. And I'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you, Donatella. Deidre, your closing remarks for today.
Listen, I am so jealous, New York. You all have everything going on. My closing remarks is this. Look, in a world where there's so much negativity going on, we have positivity. People are still getting up. African Americans, cultures, Hispanics, Asians, all cultures are still beautiful. On the everyday work, we're still working with each other, loving on each other, fighting for each other, and fighting with each other. And so don't get discouraged. But I do want you to register to vote. Get your neighbor registered to vote. Get your children registered to vote. If they're 18 and they just graduated high school, or they're 18, they're still in high school, get them registered to vote and make sure they vote. We have to flip the Congress. We have to bring Congresswoman Yvette Clarke some help and some assistance. And it only happens when we are in the voting booth. Don't let them discourage you. Do not let them discourage you. Don't listen to what they're saying. Do what you need to do. A lot of this is voter suppression. It is voter suppression to show you ICE agents coming to the polls or saying they're going to be there. It is voter suppression. It is meant to scare you, but don't give up. Be encouraged. Get out in the streets. Fight for our children. Fight that there's not another little girl in the subway that has that type of surrounding. And again, like Donatella said, to the family of this young man, Nolan, my sincere condolences, but let's not let his death be in vain. Let it be something that propels us for legacy building, that we will fight, that there is less of this happening with our young boys. Thank you, JR. Thank you, panelists, Dr. Giddings and Rabbi and Donatello for letting me be on this show with you all, such brilliant minds. And I hope you guys have an awesome week until we meet again.
Thank you so much, Deidre. Dr. Giddings, your closing remarks today.
Yes, my sincere condolences to the family of Nolan Wells. What a senseless loss of life. We want to continue to protect our kids, teach them the safety rules and values, etc. And then everyone go ahead and make a plan to vote. Make sure you talk to your family members, community members, etc. Get everyone together to vote. We have to change what's going on currently in this administration. We have to change, all of these policies, so that we can have a really comfortable cost of living. And everyone, remember summertime. Be safe out there on the beaches, the natural waters. Remember life jackets. Remember no alcohol around. Remember to learn CPR. Just all the things to keep you safe. In the summer, the heat. Be sure to hydrate. Be sure to wear your sunscreen, and be sure to just stay cool as much as you can. I know the heat wave passed New York, but it's going to be all summer coming along. So protect yourselves, protect your families, and have a great rest of your week. And we'll see you here next week, same time, same place. Take care.
Thank you, Dr. Giddings. I want to start off by, of course, thanking the powerhouse females that join the Reset every week, and of course, our rabbi, who just brings a different perspective to the show. I want to thank Dr. Wigan for always showing up and leaning in an area where we really don't pay attention to, but hearing is so vital. So we want to thank him. The Congresswoman is going to reschedule for next week. There's so much happening in the world, and we need our Congresswoman to give us this live update from Capitol Hill next week. So tell a friend to tell a friend. We're going to have the Congresswoman on next week, and also the Health Commissioner. I want to thank each and every one of you for trusting us and letting us come into your homes every Wednesday. Follow us on all of our online platforms and subscribe to the Reset Talk Show on YouTube. That's the Reset Talk Show NY. So from all of us here at the Reset Talk Show, we want to wish you an amazing Wednesday afternoon and a beautiful weekend ahead of you. Once again, don't forget the biggest watch party is coming up, Sunday, July 19th. Have a good Wednesday.
Drinking alcohol increases the risk of several types of cancer, including breast, colon, and throat cancer. Drinking less can lower your risk. You deserve to know the truth about alcohol and cancer. Get the facts. Visit nyc.gov/alcohol.